Hello students, I am RG ma'am is with you to start the lecture number 2 of the first chapter life processes, and we were talking about the first part that comprises of nutrition. So students, in the last lecture we talked about nutrition, what is nutrition and why it is compulsory for a living organism to take proper nutrients like the minerals, vitamins, carbohydrates, fats and many more things. Okay students, now we talked about the mode of nutrition. Firstly, we talked about the autotrophic nutrition, which is taken up by the plants. That is, they synthesize their own food in the presence of sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide, and the most important thing, the precious thing on the earth, that is water. If we talk about animals, then they are what? They are just heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means they are just dependent on another living organism for their survival. Now, the living organism may be a plant or an animal. So, we talked about the different modes of nutrition, how a particular organism obtain their food, the holozoic mode of nutrition, saprotrophic mode of nutrition, tetraivores we talked about, okay, and saprophytic mode of nutrition. We talked about that thing that bacteria can also perform the function of photosynthesis. Okay, actually the thing is, students know about this thing that the plants only have chlorophyll in them, but it is a great misconception between the students. The bacteria, yeast or some alga also have chlorophyll present in them, okay, and they synthesize their own food, okay, and through the photosynthesis process. Now students, there are some animals also on this earth that contains chlorophyll pigment. Okay, so they can synthesize their own food, which I am going to tell you about in some important facts of this today's lecture. So, we have read about the mode of nutrition, and I told you about the two main things in the last lecture, that is the mode of nutrition in plants as well as the mode of nutrition in animals. So, how plants prepare their own food in the presence of carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll and the most important thing, that is sunlight. Okay, now how the photons has been supplied to the plant, how the stomata opens and closes, how the chlorophyll pigment helps the plant to prepare the food. So students, let's see the contents of today's lecture. So the contents of today's lecture is the nutrition in plants. So the nutrition is plants is divided into two parts. So we will study about the part 1 in this lecture number 2, and in part 2 we will study about the light and the dark reactions in lecture number 3. So remember this thing students, it has been divided into two parts. In the first part we will study about the raw materials which are very essential for a particular plant to prepare the food, and then we will talk about the most important green colored pigment inside the plant, that is chloroplast, and the internal structure of the chloroplast as well. And in the second part of nutrition in plant, we are going to discuss how the light and the dark reactions takes place, how they are simultaneous, and also we will talk about the experiments which were conducted by different scientists to see that how chlorophyll, carbon dioxide, sunlight and even water is essential for a particular plant to prepare its own food. So in this first part, we are going to discuss about what is a photosynthesis process, how photosynthesis occurs, what are photosynthetic reactions, in which part of the plant photosynthesis process occurs, about the electromagnetic spectrum, and we are going to discuss about the chlorophyll pigment as well. So student, this is the part 1 and part 2 will be discussed in the lecture number 3. So be tuned with both the parts because this is very important, and we will study about the nutrition in plant part 1. So let's start with the first thing, that is plants are autotrophic in nature. So what do you mean by autotrophic? We learned in the last lecture as well. Autotrophic means preparing the food on its own. Okay. means it is not depending on the another organism for its survival. Now, they prepare their own food, hence they are called as producers. So, the plants are known as what? Producers, because they prepare their own food. Now students, next point, they contain a green pigment called chlorophyll, which can entrap solar energy, which is then converted into chemical energy in the form of food, and the process is called photosynthesis. So what is going to happen students? This solar energy is going to be converted into the chemical energy, and when this solar energy gets converted into chemical energy, some kind of substance is formed, and the whole process is known as what? Photosynthesis process. Okay, now I am moving toward the next slide. So we will learn about more the photosynthesis. So what is photosynthesis firstly? So photo means what? Light. So photo means light and synthesis means to build. So photo means light and synthesis means to build. Thus, photosynthesis means building up by light. So we can say that a plant is making the food in the presence of sunlight. So it is just building up the food particles in the presence of only light. But some things are also responsible for it, like the carbon dioxide, water, and the main pigment that is present inside the plant, that is chlorophyll. Now the next point, synthesis of organic compounds like glucose from simple inorganic molecules like carbon dioxide and water by the cells of green plants having chlorophyll in the presence of sunlight is known as what? Photosynthesis. So this is the complete definition of photosynthesis. It is the process by which the plant prepare their own food in the presence of carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and the green colored pigment present inside the leaves of the plant, that is chlorophyll. Okay, now you can see here that green plants make their own food by photosynthesis. Now how they will make their own food? The thing is that they requires firstly the sunlight, that is light energy. Okay, now carbon dioxide, that is designated as CO2. Now carbon dioxide will come from whom? Carbon dioxide will come from the humans as well as animals. Okay, through breathing procedure. Now what will happen? The minerals are present inside the plant and water is also present. Roots will absorb the amount of water which is present inside the soil of a plant. So the water will get transported to the leaves. Okay, and even all the parts of the plant. And how it will get transported? With the help of veins, students. Now the carbon dioxide is available here, sunlight is there, water is there. Now the main pigment, that is known as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a green colored pigment which is present in the leaves of a plant. So what will chlorophyll do? It will help in the making of food. Okay, food means the production of glucose. Okay, now we will see the production of glucose and even oxygen will occur during the photosynthetic process. Okay students, so through this diagram all the things are clear to you, that the minerals and water are absorbed by the roots of the plant, transported by the veins, or we can say the vascular tissues, that is the xylem and the phloem. Xylem is responsible for transferring the water to the plant. But if we talk about phloem, it is just used for the transport of food for the plant. So all this is clear to you all. Now next I am going to talk about the equation of photosynthesis. Now we have to learn about the equation of photosynthesis because it is very, very important, and in some examinations questions may be asked from it. So it is very important, mark it as important here. So if we talk about the equation of photosynthesis, we are going to learn that there is carbon dioxide which is coming from the environment. Okay, this is what? Carbon dioxide. Okay, now there is water available. Now what will happen? Carbon dioxide is coming from the environment. We are just watering the plant, or the environment usually water the plants through rains. Now, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, plant will prepare a product, and that is known as what? Glucose. And this is the formula of glucose, C6H12O6. So this is the formula of glucose, and the byproducts form are oxygen and water as well. So water may be in the form of water vapor which is excreted out, but the main two products which are formed are glucose and oxygen. Now, why there is a need to produce glucose? Actually, the vegetables or the fruits which are being prepared by a plant contains the amount of glucose and water as well. Okay, students? So, are you understanding the whole procedure? I am repeating the equation of photosynthesis again. So, what happens? Carbon dioxide and water combines, and in the presence of sunlight as well as chlorophyll, they form what? Glucose, water and oxygen. Now students, you can see here, there are the numbers which are written on the molecule. So, this is 6, this is 12. Now, why it has been written? Actually, you have read chemistry. So, in chemistry, you have read the law of conservation of mass, according to which we just balance the chemical reaction. So, this is just the chemical reaction which has been balanced by putting the numbers in front of the molecules. Okay, students? So, this is the equation of photosynthesis. Now, we are moving forward towards the essential elements of photosynthesis. So, what will be the essential elements for the photosynthesis? So, as I told you that sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll, all are the things which are essential for the photosynthesis process. So, first we are going to talk about sunlight. So, for plants, sun is the basic source of radiant energy. Now, why we are using the radiant energy? Actually, radiant means in the form of radiations. That is the electromagnetic radiation, which we are going to discuss in the upcoming slides also. Next, plants utilize the light in the visible region of solar spectra, electromagnetic spectrum, which comes under the range of 400 to 700 nanometers. So, you can see here that the visible region comes under the range. This is the wavelength range. Okay, this is the wavelength range of the spectrum, which is represented by this sign, and this sign is known as what? Lambda. You have been discussed in this thing in physics also. Okay, so you can see here that in electromagnetic spectrum, if we talk about, the range is between 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. Okay, now we are going to see the thing which is very important. The visible region consists of white light, which is a mixture of 7 lights of different wavelengths. So, have you listened about the Vibgyor process? So, what is Vibgyor? It is just the prismatic way to see a particular visible white light. When you just pass a white light from a prism, you can see the 7 colored shades of a particular white visible wavelength. So, students, this is just the electromagnetic spectrum which you have read in physics also. So, we are going to just see the electromagnetic spectrum. Afterwards, first we have to see that maximum photosynthesis occurs in the red region. Now, why it is occurring in the red region? Because it is of more wavelength. Okay, students. Next point, there is minimum photosynthesis in green region because green parts of the plant reflect whole of the green light. So, why there is minimum photosynthesis in the green region? Because the green plants, the green part plants will reflect the green light which is coming onto it. Okay, students. Next, there is an important note. So what is the note here? The electromagnetic spectrum includes from longest wavelength to shortest wavelength. So this is very important to learn. There are different kind of waves which are present in a particular spectrum. Okay, now they are represented from the longest towards the shortest, in which all the colors are fitted. Now you can see here that it consists of the waves like radio waves, microwaves, infrared, optical, ultraviolet, X-rays and gamma rays. So these are represented from the longest wavelength towards the shortest wavelength. Okay students, now in this visible spectrum diagram, we are going to discover the important thing which I told you. When a white light is passed through the prism, it just represents the 7 colors. That is known as what? VIBGYOR. Now what does a VIBGYOR means? Actually, VIBGYOR means V represent what? The violet color, blue represents blue color, G represent green color, Y represent yellow color, O represent orange color, and if you see about R, then it represents red color. So it is just about the VIBGYOR. Okay, now indigo color, that is also present between the V and B, that is violet and blue. It is not mentioned here, but it is of very short wavelength. So I am writing over here that it is I, and it represents what? The indigo color. Indigo is just like the blue color, the ray blue color you can see, and you wear the dresses of these color also, and it looks very beautiful. Okay, now you can see here students that the red light is coming towards the greater wavelength. You can see here that from 380 it is going to increase, and then it is going to end upon the 750 nanometer. So you can imagine this thing, that it is the greatest wavelength and the red region experiences more. Okay, so it is all about the electromagnetic spectrum. Now you can see here that the waves are also written over here, that long radio waves, then AM, FM, microwave, infrared, that is IR, ultraviolet, that is UV, and between UV and infrared the region comes, that is known as visible region, which comprises of all these colors, and we can see all these colors. So it is a visible region. Okay students, then comes the X-rays and then the gamma rays, which cannot be seen by the naked eyes. Actually all these rays cannot be visible by the naked eyes, only the visible rays are visible by our naked eyes, that is the VIBGYOR. Okay, that forms the VIBGYOR, and in which I told you about the nanometers, the wavelength also. So are you understanding the whole procedure, that why it is important to understand that when a particular light falls on a particular plant, then what happens? Okay, so red color experiences more scattering than green color. Okay, it reflects green color. Now we are going to discuss about the second part, which is the most basic component during photosynthesis, which is known as what? Chlorophyll. Now what is chlorophyll students? These are green pigments present in the chloroplast. So what is chloroplast and what is chlorophyll? I want to give a brief discussion. Actually in the 9th class also you have read about the double membranous cell organelle, that is plastid. Now plastid composed of the 3 categories, that is chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast as well. Now the main important part that comes from the plastid is the chloroplast, which comprises of the green colored pigment. Okay, now the green colored pigment is responsible for the photosynthetic processes. Now you can see here they are found in green leaves in maximum amount, as well as in other green aerial parts of the plant. So in other aerial green parts of the plant they are also found, but maximum they are found in what? The green leaves. Okay, now next point, there are 6 different types of chlorophyll. They are chlorophyll A, B, C, D, E and bacteriochlorophyll also. Amongst them, chlorophyll A and B are the most commonly occurring chlorophylls. Okay students, So the most commonly occurring chlorophylls are what? The A and B chlorophyll, but they can be present in many varieties like A, B, C, D and E. Now how they are categorized? On the basis of functions they perform. Okay, they may be present in a particular plant at a particular time at a particular place also. Okay, they may be present together or they may be differentiated in the different parts of plants also. Okay students, now besides chlorophyll, certain other pigments are also present in the plants. So students, you have seen that many plants have very beautiful colors. They produce many beautiful flowers, fruits, vegetables as well. Now you are imagining that except from green vegetables, all vegetables have beautiful colors. Okay, as I take an example of the violet color cabbage. Have you ever eaten that? So why the color is violet there? Because of the presence of chromoplast. Now chromoplast contains different colors except green. Okay, it contains the red, yellow, violet, indigo or many colors, but except from green. So let's see the pigments which are present. So the first pigment which is present is carotene. Carotene is present mainly in carrots. So it is named as carrot because of the presence of carotene. So it is orange in color. Example, carrot. Okay, now the next point, xanthophylls. Xanthophylls are the pigments which are present in the maize. Have you eaten maize? The sweet corns are really very yummy to eat. Okay, so they contain what? Xanthophyll pigment. Because of the presence of xanthophyll, they are yellow in color. So orange yellow in color, example maize. Okay, now next, that is third, phycobilins. Because of the presence of phycobilins, different colors like red, violet are present. So you can see here that different plants have different kind of colors. Okay, maybe it be an alga or a fungi, or we can say even a small plant. Okay, now you have seen the very beautiful lilac, orchids and beautiful flowers as well. So they contain different kind of colors, and these are the pigments which are responsible for the colors in them. Okay, now you can see here in this picture, students, the blue-green algae is represented. So in blue-green algae, what happens? The color is provided by the phycobilins. Okay, now blue-green algae is very common. Okay, it can multiply, it can divide and create millions of cells in a pond or streams or a river, or it can occur in the stagnant water conditions also. Now next is the brown algae. So you can see here, this is the brown algae which is usually found near the ponds or lakes. It is just deposited around the wall of the ponds or lakes. Okay students, now you have seen that phycobilins provide the colors to blue and brown algae as well. Okay, now we are moving towards the most important part of photosynthesis, that is the raw materials of photosynthesis. So what are the raw materials of photosynthesis? There is a question in your mind. So let me clear this thing. So the raw material for the photosynthesis are, firstly will be the carbon dioxide, and secondly the most important thing which is required by a plant to make its survival possible and also to produce fruits, vegetable, that is water. If you are not watering the plant at a particular time, then plant will die. Okay, so these are the two raw materials which are very essential for photosynthesis process. So first one will be the carbon dioxide and second one will be the water. So let's read about the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is represented by CO2. You know it very well. So terrestrial plants obtain carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through the small openings present on the leaves, called as what? Stomata. So on leaves, the stomata are present, and what happens when they opens? Then the light energy is trapped by the chlorophyll in them. So we will study about all these things in a particular video also and through diagrams also. Okay, so next point, stomata are the small pores present on the surface of leaf. So you can consider it like that, student, that there is a leaf. Okay, now the leaf has small pores over it. So these pores contains what? Stomata. Okay, stomata. Now they help in exchange of gases and transpiration. So transpiration is the most important process which is done by the plants. Actually what happens, the excess amount of water which reaches to the different parts of the plant are excreted out through the leaves in the form of water vapor. Listen me carefully. The water which is excreted out by the leaves in the form of water vapor is known as what? Transpiration. And it is very useful procedure for the plants because the excess amount of water which is not required by the plant is thrown out of the plant in the form of water vapor, and then it forms the clouds through the water cycle. You have learned it. Okay, now the main purpose of this is exchange of gases and transpiration. Now stomatal opening is guarded by the presence of guard cells. So actually what happens when the stomata are present inside the leaves, so their opening and closing are guarded by the guard cell. Means guard cell is just like a protector. Okay, they just protect it and they take care of it, that when the guard cell will get open and when the guard cell will get closed. Okay, in which conditions. Now next, aquatic plants obtain carbon dioxide dissolved in water through their general body surface, so they perform more photosynthesis than terrestrial plants. Actually what happens, the aquatic plants are like submerged plants, or they have the difficulty in doing photosynthesis process because the light energy does not reaches properly to them. So they have more stomata in them. So because of the presence of more stomata, they will trap more light energy, and then they will produce the food. Okay, now there is a small representation of stomatal opening as well as stomatal closing. So let's see the diagrammatic representation. So students, you can see here there is a stomatal opening. Actually what happens, I am just revising the things which we have read. So first thing is that there is a leaf. Okay, now there is a leaf and there is a pore. So these pores are designated what? Stomata. Now what happens, they are guarded by the guard cell as you have known, but we will study about the internal structure of stomata firstly. So first thing is that it consists of the epidermal cell, that is the outer cell, that is known as epidermal cell. Then there is a outer thin wall also. Okay, now there are some vacuoles also for the transpiration procedure. Now there are guard cells for the stomatal opening and stomatal closing. Now what happens during this procedure? Actually there is an inner thick wall also. So students, there are chloroplasts present inside the guard cells of stomata. So this is the position of chloroplast. Chloroplasts are present inside the guard cells of stomata. Now what will happen, when the light energy will come onto it, then it is trapped by the chlorophyll pigment which are present inside the guard cells. Now this stomata will get opened when it is in the process of transpiration. Means it want to remove the water amount. Okay, then it will open, and when it will open, the water amount will be removed through the leaves. But if you see here, there is the stomatal closing. Okay, now you can see here they are kidney shaped also. So sometimes they are also called as kidney shaped. In some questions you can see here that the guard cells are known as kidney shaped cells also. Okay, now what happens in the stomatal closing? The transpiration process, when it is completed. Okay, when transpiration process is completed, now the plant does not have excess amount of water to remove, so these stomata will get closed. Okay, are you understanding this thing? When there is no need of transpiration, then the stomata will get closed. And if there is a need of transpiration, then the stomata will get open. Okay, students, so this is the whole procedure through which the transpiration process occurs. Now, students, we are going to see the whole process of photosynthesis through a very small video representation so that we can analyze each and everything. So, students, in this video, we are going to learn about the stomata and also about the guard cells, the epidermal cells. So, what happens when the plants want to remove the water? Then it is removed in the form of water vapor through the guard cells of the stomata. The guard cells gets opened. Okay, now the stomatal opening will take place. So, here you can see in the leaves, the mesophyll cells are also present, and these mesophyll cells also help in the process of transpiration. Now, how they will help? Actually, there is the intermembrane space which is present between the mesophyll cells. So, what happens when the water molecules are in excess? They will move towards the intermembrane space, and through intermembrane space, they will move towards the stomatal opening. So, this is the stomatal opening through which they will move. Okay, now you are clear with this thing, that when the excess amount of water is present, then it will move towards the stomatal opening. Now, you can see here that Hydrilla and Vallisneria are the submerged plant that does not contain stomata. Okay, now we will understand about the opening and the closing of the stomatal cells. So, if there is an open stomata, then what will happen? The amount of water will come out. Okay, you can see here this guard cell has become rounded in shape, and then the water is coming out of the stomata. But if we talk about the closed one, you can see here the flaccid condition of the guard cell has arisen and the stomata is now closed. Okay, now why it is closed? Because the transpiration has been stopped. So, these are the condition in which the guard cells are turgid, and in this condition the guard cells are flaccid. Okay, now you can see here that there is a great difference between both of the two. In closed cell, no evaporation takes place, no water vapor is coming out, but in open cells the water is coming out. Okay, now how do the plants prepare through photosynthesis their food? So we can see here carbon dioxide, water, all the things are being available to the plant. Then these are transported from the roots to the different parts of the plant. Maybe it be leaf, stems or roots. Now these stomata which are present on the leaf part of the plant will receive the water through the xylem tissue, and the extra amount of water will be removed through their openings. So are you understanding the whole procedure of the stomatal opening? So you can see here, students, this is a strong dissection of each and every guard cell. So what happens? The xylem gives water to the leaves, but the water is being removed by the stomatal opening because the plant is not in a need of extra amount of water. So this is how the stomatal opening takes place. Okay, students, so have you understood about the stomatal opening and closing? Now we are moving towards the next slide. So in the next slide, we will learn about the second raw material, which is very important for a particular plant to survive. So the second raw material is water. Plants absorb water from the soil by the process of osmosis. So students, what is osmosis? You have learned better in the 9th class as well. So I am repeating this thing, that it is just the movement of the solvent particles, okay, through a semi-permeable membrane. So it is done by what? Osmosis procedure. Now this water is transported to leaves by a special type of tissue called as xylem. So as I told you, that xylem is a vascular tissue which is responsible for transferring the water to the different parts of the plant. So you can write it here that it is a vascular tissue. Actually there are two vascular tissues which are present inside the plant. So xylem is responsible for transport of water and phloem is for food. Next point, plants utilize carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. The intensity of light at which amount of carbon dioxide used during photosynthesis becomes equal to the amount of carbon dioxide released during respiration. by plant is known as what? Compensation point. Actually, what happens? The excess amount of carbon dioxide which is gained by the plant but not in use, then what happens? The carbon dioxide is released by the plants as well during respiration procedure. So when the carbon dioxide taken in is equalized by the carbon dioxide which is given out is known as what? Compensation point. Means the plant is just maintaining the equilibrium of the carbon dioxide taken in and given out. Okay. Now, compensation point occurs at low light intensity, that is during morning and during evening hours. So students, it is just advised that do not sit under the plants at the night conditions or at the evening, because the plants do the respiration procedure and they releases the carbon dioxide. Okay students, so this is very important to learn that there is a compensation point in which the carbon dioxide equilibrium is maintained. Okay, it occurs at lower light intensity, then it occurs in the during morning session or during evening time. Okay students, now next, site of photosynthesis. Now we will learn about the site of photosynthesis, where it takes place. So we have understood each and every procedure about the photosynthesis. So you are clear with this thing that the site of photosynthesis will obviously be the chloroplast. Okay, but there is a differentiation between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes which we will discuss in this particular slide. So site of photosynthesis is different in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So students, there is a differentiation between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Actually, in prokaryotes, there is no well-developed chloroplast present. But if we talk about the eukaryotic plant cell, then there is a chloroplast present. Now, in prokaryotes, photosynthesis occurs in lamellar chromatophores. So students, lamellar chromatophores are present inside the prokaryotes for the photosynthetic processes. But if we talk about eukaryotes, photosynthesis occurs in chloroplast. So in chloroplast, photosynthesis process occurs. Now in higher plants, chloroplast is the main site of photosynthesis. So you can see that there are 2 to 20,000 varieties of plants which are available on our earth. So students, you have to remember this thing. The main site of photosynthesis is just what? The chloroplast, the green pigment, or we can say the green plastid, which is present inside a particular plant cell. Now I have told about the location also. It is just present inside the guard cells of a leaf. Okay students, now this is the picture of lamellar chloroplast. Okay, it is just the lamellar chromatophores. So the lamellar chromatophores are present inside the prokaryotes. Okay, and they are responsible for the photosynthetic processes. Okay, lamellar chromatophores. So you can see that there are some rounded structures which are present inside the prokaryotes for the photosynthetic processes. Okay, so they are responsible for the food preparation. Okay students, now next is the chloroplast. So what is chloroplast? It is the green pigment which is present inside the plant, as I told you, the green plastid. So this is just the structure which is representing the chloroplast. We are going to discuss briefly about the chloroplast as well. Now students, I am going to discuss about some important facts which I promised to you in the first lecture as well. In every lecture, you will experience some important facts related to the chapter, and it is very important for you also that you should learn it and you will tell your friends. Okay, so let's see the first important fact. So the first important fact is bamboo is an extremely rapidly growing plant. In fact, some bamboo varieties can grow almost a meter, about 3.2 feet in a single day. So are you imagining the growth of bamboo? It is just growing at a rapid rate. Actually 3.2 feet. It is just the extreme rate of growth of a particular plant. So remember this thing, that the extraordinary growth is represented by a single plant on the earth, that is bamboo, 3.2 feet per day. Next point, many plants are carnivorous like Venus flytrap and eat tiny little insects and spiders to gain useful nutrients. Okay, so some plants, as I told you, are insectivorous. Okay, like pitcher plant. So this is a short example of Venus flytrap. So Venus flytrap is a plant that eats insect, okay, for its survival. So these are counted in the insectivorous plants. Next point, Ginkgo biloba, which dates to about 250 million years ago, is the oldest living tree species in the world. Very important. Actually, this point is very important. It has been asked in some of the competitive examinations also. Okay, it is the most primitive species, or we can say the oldest living tree, and name is what? Ginkgo biloba. Okay, which dates about 250 million years ago. Okay, now elephant grass found in Africa is named so because it can grow up to 4.5 meters. So 4.5 meter, are you imagining the growth of a particular grass? It can hide the big animals as elephant also. So it is also written over here, which is high enough to hide an elephant in it. So the elephant, the biggest animal on the earth, the heaviest animal, can be hidden in a particular grass, which is known as what? The elephant grass, and its height is up to 4.5 meters. Okay, students. Next important fact, photosynthesis collects an estimated 130 terawatts of energy from the sun. So it is just an estimation that it collects this type of solar energy, and it is just the amount which has to be collected by a photosynthesis process through a plant. Okay, so from sun it collects what? 130 terawatts of energy. Okay, next, photosynthetic phytoplankton in the seas produces 70% of the world's oxygen. So you can see this thing, that the phytoplanktons which are present inside a particular sea produces the 70% of the world's oxygen. Okay, so you can see that we are planting trees. It is very essential for us, for the greenery, for the environment, and also for reducing the greenhouse effect. But this thing is very essential to know, that the phytoplanktons are generating higher amount of oxygen on the world. Next, surprising sea slug is half plant, half animal. Now this is a very important fact. Actually, this sea slug is half a plant and half an animal. Actually, it is an animal, but it represents the half part as a plant also, because it contains the chlorophyll pigment and can be autotrophic and heterotrophic. So this is very important fact, that this green slug, which is a part animal and a part plant, produces its own chlorophyll, so can carry out photosynthesis, turning sunlight into energy. Scientists have found this thing. So this is very important, that a sea slug is an animal which is half part animal and half part plant, containing chlorophyll, can synthesize its own food. Okay, now students, there is a very small assignment for you all. Actually, this is assignment number 1, in which I have mentioned exercise number 1, 2 and 3. So I am just reading the question which you have to solve. Actually, I have written the question numbers over here, so you have to solve only those questions from the module. So first is the exercise number 1, in which you have to solve only the objective questions ranging from A1 to B5. Then you have to solve exercise number 2, in which you have to take care of multiple choice questions, and you have to just solve one question, that is question number 1, because the part which we have read is just only in the question number 1. Okay, I will be giving the questions to you to solve for your analysis in the upcoming lectures as well. Now students, there is exercise number 3, which contains the questions related to NTSC. Now I want to tell you about some part of NTSC, because it is very important for the students which are starting the studies of 10th class. So NTSC is just the National Talent Search Examination, in which the paper come in two sets. Okay, that is the SAT part and the MAT part, in which the MAT part is comprising of mental ability questions, and if we talk about the SAT part, okay, it is comprising of the questions which are related to social science and science as well. Now you have to solve the 13 questions which are occurring in the examination of NTSC. So students, the third exercise comprises of all the questions which have come in the previous year NTSC examination of different state boards. Actually NTSC level occurs in two ways. That is, there are two stages of NTSC. First stage is of state and second stage is of Central Board of Secondary Education. Okay student, so you have to remember this thing, that you have to crack the NTSC, and by reading each and every lecture you will very easily solve all these questions which are given in the module. Okay, so I have mentioned the question numbers here: 3, 6, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. So you have to mark these questions only. In the next upcoming lecture videos, I will tell you about more questions also. Now students, we have completed the lecture number 2. That is the part 1, which is related to the nutrition in plants. Now in nutrition in plants, we have read about that what are the things which are necessary for a plant nutrition. That is water, sunlight, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll. Okay, so 4 things are main essential for the photosynthetic process to occur. We studied about the equation of photosynthesis. Okay, carbon dioxide and water is combining, forming the glucose, oxygen and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So you have to remember the equation as well. Okay, we talked about the main important elements which are essential for a photosynthesis process to occur, and the site of photosynthesis is what? Chloroplast, which is present inside the guard cells. Okay, and these guard cells are present in the leaf part of the plant. Okay students, so we read about the first part. Now in the second part we will read about the light reactions, dark reaction. We will do the dissection of the chloroplast as well. Actually chloroplast is the main pigment which is responsible for photosynthesis. So we will do the dissection of the chloroplast, and you will see that what are the things which are present inside the chloroplast: the matrix, grana, stroma, thylakoid, inner membrane, outer membrane, each and every part, and how the light reaction, dark reaction takes place, experiments which are conducted by different scientists to prove that photosynthesis occurs in the presence of all these 4 essential elements. Okay student, so be tuned for the next lecture, that is the part 2 of nutrition in plants. Okay students, thank you.